And we're live.
There we are. So,
right. Afternoon, folks. Just before we get into anything today, we'll stick this up and give a wee shout out to an event happening today in Paisley. Well, you're up and scroll it down. It's the Wellbeing Economy with Gordon McIntyre Kemp. 7 o'clock tonight. You can still get tickets at Everbright. Just download it on your phone, show up. The event starts at 7 o'clock. And it is the Methodist Central Halls and 2 Gauze Street, Paisley, PA1 1EP. The agenda, 1830 to 1900, doors open, teas, coffee and biscuit. Then the speech by Gordon, question and answers from 2000 to 21, and the wrap up 21 to 21:30 with a bit of networking. Okay, so that's Women for Independence, Paisley Women for Independence tonight are hosting an event with Gordon McIntyre Kemp. If you live in the Renfrew Paisley area and you can get there, please do. Okay, so we'll get that to the road. So that's the infomercial done, David. Now, I noticed on one of the last videos, our last 2 Davies video, because I've been throwing out a couple of wee single shows in between 15-minute shorts, that sort of thing. Anyway, there was somebody there, some kind gentleman there, flagged up that you and I don't speak English. So I had to be very polite and say to the gentleman in no uncertain terms, we would leave that to the good folk across the border in England. This is Scotland, and here in Scotland we speak Scots.
I have to force myself to speak Scottish. I lived in England for 18 years. So you realise when I came back, I really thought I was English.
Listen, when I come back from Germany, I didn't speak German for about the first 4 weeks. I didn't realise I wasn't speaking bloody Scots. I was talking to everybody in bloody German. But I was talking to Elizabeth, hopefully she'll show up in the comments, Elizabeth Camper Brown, when we met her out in Camper Brown, when we met her out in Dalkeith, and I was saying that to her. I said, how do you do it, Elizabeth? I couldn't just switch like that. I was communicating with everybody in bloody German without realising it. You know, I better sort Facebook out. Right, that's a public on Facebook, so I'll shut that up. So anyway, folks, it's the 2 Davies on Thursday the 31st of the 8th, 2023. And get the right page, David.
This year has gone tremendously fast, at least for me anyway.
Isn't it half? Anyway, we'll get Facebook, Peter coming through. Hi, Stephen Kelly. Hi, Lorna Shields. And there was a good few of them already on YouTube waiting on the stream start. There was Alexander Thomas, there was Wee Bird, there was DJ, Marty, Wolf Pet. Hi, Chris. What's the look? Maureen. Class Actions there, Matt Telfer. Hi, TV Sam, how's it going, mate?
Hang on, Dave. Thanks, guys, for coming in and taking your seats early. Because it lets us know that there's an interest in the programme, which is lovely.
That is right.
Just as an aside, I just paid Drumchapel Food Bank £200. So that's the west side dealt with. And
tomorrow is after a new month, and I'll dig out the charities that are going to benefit on the east side. The food banks will benefit on the east side for this month. And we'll let you know who's getting the money when they get it. Okay. Right, where are we? Okay, let's get started. What did you make of Lord Fuchs' wee pishy pants? The Parliament's not even open again, and he says he's getting right onto the civil services case. He's shut down any spending done by the Scottish Government on Scottish independence. What do you make of this?
Yeah, again, he's doing what he's always done, which is, how dare you threaten my position in the House of Lords? Because he knows fine well, if Scotland becomes an independent nation, they'll not want any Scottish Lords down there. They'll be out in his ear. And
that all depends on whether we hold on to the monarchy for a while, which we probably will, because, let's face it, we'll have more important things to fix.
Yeah, well, I would say that he's teased out if Scotland becomes an independent nation.
Anyway, he says the minute Parliament opens up again, he's going to go straight to the top civil servant. What's his name again? Fucking Simon Case. And he's going to order Mr. Case to give directives to the Scottish Civil Service that they have no longer to work on prospectuses for an independent Scotland.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's not very democratic. So, of course, because this story's back out there for the second time, the press trot up and asked Mr. Starmer, Sir Kid Starmer, what he thinks about it. And what does Sir Kid Starmer says? Who the fuck's George Folks? No, he distanced himself from it and said he didn't know anything about it. They also approached Anna Sarwar.
Yeah, can we call it a blue issue? Same as last week we had a blue moon because it was twice in the same month that it had been a full moon, right? We'll call it a blue issue from now on, where an issue has turned up previously and it has come up again. So blue George Folks is a blue issue, all right?
Well, anyway, we Pishy Pants is he's going after it. But now, Anna Sarwar was then approached for his comment on what Lord Fuchs had been saying. And to be fair to Mr. Sarwar, Poverty Pie, don't really like being fair to him. But what he told the press was, we Fuchsie could take his nose out there. It's none of Westminster's business what the Scottish Government does with its money. You know?
Nice. Okay.
Which surprised me, but
is he going to join the Yes campaign?
No, definitely not.
He did not. There's a perfectly good question for you. If all of a sudden Anna Sarwar saw the light, right? How would you feel about that? How would you feel about all this?
If Anna Sarwar saw the light, then he'd realise the only way that the Labour Party in Scotland, if it was ever to continue to exist after independence, was ever going to get into power would to become independent. But as we know, Sarwar doesn't support powers being devolved to the Scottish Parliament. I mean, we'll get to the drugs carry, the drugs, the Home Office and the drugs thing later on. Yeah. But now, I was a bit distressed listening to the radio on Tuesday, I think it was, with Dr. Sandy Skilhaney, MSP, Tory MSP. And he was accusing the Scottish Government of having misled the people. No, the Parliament, the people, over a key report on minimum unit pricing. Right. And what this is all about, folks, because you'll have seen the stupid headlines. MUP, minimum unit pricing doesn't work, or that sort of thing, MUP slating and all that. So what this is all about is Mr. Mulhaney took the keynote report which said that deaths had alcohol deaths had dropped a bit. Remember, we'll get alcohol deaths figures out in the high at the moment, right? And of course, the Scottish Government being panned for that. But the minimum unit pricing report put out there by Public Health Scotland was reported by Dr. Gulhaney to the UK Statistics Authority. And he claimed that the report was misleading. So the UK Statistics Authority took a look at it and said, no, the key of the report is correct. He says, but what the Public Health Scotland has to do is reword their findings and sum it up and make it clear that some of the report is estimates, you know, a bit like the JERS figures is off making estimates. You know, some of the reports are estimates on knock-on or what they call upstream effects of the key policy. So what we're talking about here is we know that alcohol deaths are dropping and alcohol harms are dropping due to minimum unit pricing. That I think there's 3 or 4 reports are there now which make that absolutely clear. But where the UK Statistics Authority were following up Public Health Scotland was on the wider report and what they call upstream effects. So how many admittances to A&E there were, or how many less admittances to A&E there were because of minimum unit pricing. How many less ambulance journeys were because of minimum unit pricing. How the knock-on effect there was in organ failure departments with minimum unit price, minimum unit pricing. That's quite hard to say. But anyway, out of the key report's clear. It is working. But what they had to then do is reword it to say that the upstream effects in the NHS are estimates. Because nobody's actually done studies, proper studies on any of that yet.
But
So-
upstream means future. Unless you've got a time machine,
Alright,
you can go and
downstream, whatever. Downstream then, okay. The downstream effects, meaning how many less ambulances, how many less admits to E&E, that sort of thing. So that's basically what happened. And of course, on Tuesday, the press went full out SNP government mislead people on minimum unit pricing. Minimum unit pricing doesn't work. That wasn't the issue.
Yeah. Okay. I to be honest with you, I think he's just a wee twat. I've listened to him umpteen times, and the stuff that he brings up. He's trying to be Mr. Clever and all the rest of it, and it's like it doesn't work out for him because
There's a wider agenda than that, David.
Yeah.
There's a wider agenda than that.
Hang on, but the other reports that have been done, as far as I can see from what you were saying, they are just as relevant, except they haven't been okayed by the authority. Yes?
No, that wasn't it. The authority wasn't saying they didn't say they're unimportant. They just said to make it clear that the downstream effects, or rather the upstream effects, the downstream effects were estimates because nobody's really studied that part of it for very long.
Yes.
Right.
But they are as relevant. The whole thing, the whole story about minimum alcohol pricing is a good news story that they are trying to turn into an SNP bad story.
Thanks,
right?
others. That's very generous of you.
Thanks.
Now, of course, we had the report saying that alcohol deaths were up this last year to this year. Now, they had been in decline. There's been a wee spike, but David, as you and I know, traditionally, as things get harder, people self-medicate to get out of their misery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as the Black Report made clear, and we've spoken about the Black Report many times, it made quite clear in times of deprivation and downturn, then people tend to turn to self-medication through drugs and alcohol, and all sorts of social ills come out of that.
Yeah, generally the health inequalities that we suffer.
But the Scottish Government took a spanking out of these alcohol deaths rising. Now, this is going to be a wee bit controversial, but I'm known to be controversial, right? I like a drink. But I've never known a politician force me to lift a fucking pint glass. Most people who have got problems with alcohol or drugs, they acquire that problem themselves. Now, all this about putting rehab services in place, that's all very good, and it is a social norm. But you can lead a horse to water, you can't force it to drink. So you can put these services in place for people to use, but you can't force them to use them. So people are still going to end up dying through abusing these substances. Because even though you've got services there, which will be called inadequate because there's an ongoing problem, the ongoing problem is people are living in poverty, people are living in absolute misery, and they're self-medicating to escape it. We've seen this with the deindustrialisation of the west of Scotland, and now we're seeing it again. It's cyclical.
Well, if any of you want to research this, it's a fascinating field, right? The two reports that you should be looking up is the Black Report, released in 1980, and it was on health inequalities, right?
Yeah.
And if you get into it, it really is it's a fascinating field. And the other one was the Aitchison Report, and that was delivered in 1989, or sorry, not 1989.
97 was it?
1997. That's right. 1997. But interestingly, the Black Report was commissioned by the Tory Party. And the Tory Party really didn't like the effect of this report, and what they did was they released it over a bank holiday weekend. But enough copies were left in the library at the House of Commons that it managed to get out there. So, but your minimum alcohol pricing it's just a part. It really is just a part. There's all sorts of things self-medicate. Drugs, my goodness me, we've got a big problem with drugs, and it is down to people's situations.
And as we know, in the last decade, it's got worse, David. So there will be more people turning to self-medicating to escape misery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a fact. It's why the Scottish Government spends so much on...
The thing is, you don't think about self-medicating. You just think, I'm not pissed off, I'm gonna
It's escapism, David, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, self-medicating is the term that's being used in these nice reports.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's escapism for the fucking misery created by Westminster.
It's such a shame for people.
But as I say, I always find it funny when these reports out and the governments get browbeaten. I've never seen a politician go up and push a drug on anybody. I've never seen a politician go up and force a pint down anybody's heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
The politicians use what little resources are available to put a rehab facilities in place for anybody that wants to come forward for them. But as I say, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. You know. So that was just another bit of madness. Right, hey, Dougie Rossi, let's talk a wee Dougie the Dross. What did you make of that spanner releasing his economic prospectus for the future of Scotland?
I think the response was, ha 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 ha.
Everybody laughed. Absolutely everybody laughed. You know, this was a 28-page pamphlet with an 18-page document on how Dross sees the future. Okay, number one, draft independence. Number two, joint committee on economics. On economics for the UK, meaning a joint ministerial panels to drive. As if Westminster's going to agree to that. I sent you straight to shredder. And of course, what was the other one? The other big daft idea he had. Oh, grow the economy. And wow, there was no meat in the bones to any of this, but what was interesting in that whole lot was Brexit didn't get a single mention.
Of course it wouldn't. It's as what's the word? It's as bad a word as you can mention if you're in the Tory party. These people don't want reminding of what they did to the people of these islands that we live on.
Well, anyway, Dougie Ross's economic prospectus for the future of Scotland was laughed at by everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Labour Party laughed at him. The SNP laughed at him. The press laughed at him. The BBC distanced themselves here.
Yeah.
You know, grow the economy. Grow the economy. And we've just learned that the latest quarter, Scotland's economy flatlined. Yeah. Absolutely flatlined.
You know, and let's face it. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Are you surprised that Scotland's economy flatlined after what's been done to us?
No.
You know.
But the other thing that Dross did admit inadvertently was that the Scottish Government don't run the economy. Because what he says in his document is that the Scottish Government should just stop moaning about having only one economic lever, and that's income tax. They should just stop moaning about it. We'll just build a committee with ministers for each side of the border. The bigger land will have more ministers on the committee the way they do in all the committees, and the smaller land will be overruled as usual. So Dross advocates for the idiots who have created economic chaos and collapsed the bloody economy to continue to run the economy.
Yeah.
What was it Einstein said? To keep doing the same thing over there and expect a different outcome is stupid.
That's right. Yeah, these people are stupid if they do that. I didn't see you there, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. That's Murder She Wrote.
We don't, David. It's becoming a big
I spoke to her about the other day there, and she's actually quite likes it. So there you go. Give them a wee shout out to
Murder She Wrote.
Murder She Wrote.
Just don't come anywhere near me, Barbara, because people keep fucking dying about your sister. Right, this one was an obvious one that was about to happen, David. And that is poverty, piety, abandoned party of the people and follow Starmer in courting big business, so that business interests in Scotland will see him as a viable future First Minister. Labour Party dumps the working classes. Anybody surprised?
My eyes have just glazed over. You know, I think he's got a Napoleon complex. I think Sarwar's definitely got a Napoleon complex, right? And I think so. He just keeps on going at that all the time, hoping that somebody somewhere will agree with the fact that he's got a Napoleon complex and will vote for him. Because there's no way. No way.
Well, anyway, Slav, or Labour in Scotland, because there is no such thing as Scottish Labour. Labour in Scotland, today with London head office tells them, and abandon the working classes. Abandon the people, abandon the working classes, and become the party of the middle classes in business.
Yeah.
What's the point of Labour?
There is no point to Labour. And it's like, I laugh at the sign above them, the change that Scotland needs. The change that Scotland needs is getting rid of Labour and Tory and Lib Dem.
I've seen Scottish Bell had a go on Sarwar on X or Twitter, whatever it's called these days. I quite like Scottish Bell, she's a friend, she's mental. Anyway, Sarwar demands that the Scottish Government don't raise council tax on the upper bands, even though it's Tory and Labour councillors that want Cosla to get the Scottish Government to change the rules to let them do it. Right. Mental. Anyway, Scottish Bell whacks back at him. Hey, why don't you fuck off back to London? Why don't Labour fuck off back to London? That's what you know. But pardon our French today, folks. Just something that's quite comical, you know.
Yeah.
So Scottish Labour, or Labour in Scotland, to abandon founding principles of party to join Starmer on the right.
Yeah.
So kids Starmer. So I guess when Labour get in the Scottish Parliament, they'll be doing away with free school meals for kids. They'll be doing away with the top up. They'll be doing away with free prescriptions. They'll be introducing university tuition fees because apparently they're under the party of the people anyway. They're the party of the elite.
I liked what you said to me the other day there. You were talking about John Bercow, which he's quite a likeable character in a funny sort of way. He's the ex-speaker of the House of Commons, right? The new guy, the new Yorkshire guy. It's like, I can't stand him, but John Bercow is actually quite entertaining. But you said that he'd been interviewed by Andrew Neil.
Radio, he was given the Theresa May a spanking.
Yeah. And what he said was, he said, now, I didn't get a seat in the House of Lords, which normally the Speaker going out the way tends to get, right? So I left the Tory party, and I was.
This was an earlier programme, David. This was the one I was watching, the one I was telling you about. This was in the Andrew Neil programme when he was asking about swapping to the Labour Party.
Yeah. So he said he looked at the Labour Party, and he went, you know, now that looks just like the Tory party that I joined all those years ago. So
he did see that. He said he'd moved to the Labour Party because it now resembled the Conservative Party that he joined all these years ago.
Wow. If that doesn't tell anybody out there that's watching, if you're about to put your tick or your cross on the Labour box, think again. All you're doing is voting Tory.
Right, let's wander on to the next subject, which has come up this morning. Actually, replacing Ben Wallace.
For goodness sake, chain down all the nuclear weapons. You'll be firing them off like squibs.
So he's going to ask the US president for the activation codes, and I don't know if Joe Biden's conference mentors enough to be able to issue them at this point in time. But hey, so Grant Sharp, who he entered Parliament in 2005, first became a junior minister in 2010, I think it was, in the Department for International Aid. 2015, what did they move on to then? Well, I can't mind off the top of my head. Then in 2019, he became Transport Minister under Boris Johnson. And then lately he's been Minister for Energy Security. And now they're put him in charge of security in the wrong fucking place. And he's been a crap minister or whatever he's doing.
And these days at university, I believe he ran a few scams
Aye, under a few different names, but we can't mention that, David, because he did threaten to sue anybody that mentioned it.
Oh dear. Right, fine.
Aye, so we've not mentioned he was a fraudster.
Yeah.
Or he was allegedly a fraudster. Let's get this right.
Was he allegedly a fraudster, David?
Allegedly, aye, with 4 different names.
The same as Rishi Sunak was allegedly an inside trader.
Aye, same as Rishi Sunak's allegedly an inside trader. Hey, all right now, you guys in the comments, stop being naughty and putting up his aliases thinking we're going to read them out. We can't do that. We don't want sued.
Susie Laurie said Ron Sharps is a bomb scare.
Anyway, he taking out his position for energy security as some newbie who entered Parliament in 2019. What's her name? I have got it written down here, but Claire, anyway, she's the MP for East Surrey, and she moves up to take her as Minister for Energy Security.
Aye, so that, yes, that's right. Yeah, she's the one that's going to control the.
Her name is Claire Colino.
Yeah.
So she moves into the position that the Grant exits. Ben Wallace will be a hard act to follow. To be fair to him, he was a good. He was a competent minister. Let's put it that way.
He was a member of the armed forces at one point. Yes.
Aye.
So then they put in Grant Sharps that never had anything to do with the armed forces, and he was the guy that was going to wasn't he the guy that was going to allow people that were training to drive trucks not needing to reverse? Was it him that was responsible for that one?
Yes, that's that one.
That was wonderful, that wasn't it?
That was a great idea. Well, we'll just let them go forwards. There's no fucking buses, they need to go backwards. Oh. You couldn't make it up. But aye, he was a total incompetent in everything he's touched. So, defence, we could end up in a war pretty quick here, guys. I'm glad I'm at the age of getting drafted.
When we get to it, I'm going to make... No, I'm not going to say it at the moment, but I think I'm starting to see a pattern here. Right, carry on. Right. What are we on now? Oh, yeah, we're doing the Grant Sharps thing. Then we move to Alistair Jack. What's happened is...
Oh, Jack Brooks. Jack wants to put prison ships in Glasgow, and because Glasgow City Council says no, the Governor General says he's going to overrule Glasgow City Council.
Use the word veto. Veto.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to overrule. So he's not just content with overruling what happens in the Scottish Parliament through our democratically elected MSPs. He's quite happy to veto what happens in local government.
Yep.
Via our democratically elected councillors. You ever get the idea that democracy in Scotland is being shut down as well as conversation?
No, it's not being shut down. It's not being shut down at all. Because what's going to happen is this guy's going to take one step too far, and the people are going to hit the streets and go his direction, and he's going to be in real trouble.
Well, that's like Glasgow, which is almost like it was a yes city anyway, isn't it? A great idea.
That's right. I mean, what a piece of movie, a piece of video that I love watching was on Situation, where the border guard came to go and pick up them people in Glasgow, and the streets were filled, and all of a sudden they had to back down. Well, I tell you what, seriously, that's coming, and it's going to come again, and I'm not going to like it, and I'm going to get it.
David, if he thinks he's going to overrule the people of Glasgow and put prison ships on the Clyde, he's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Because you just said, when they came to try and take people out of our communities, what did we do? We bloody well stopped them.
Yeah.
And if they try to bring people here and put them onto inhumane conditions at risk of their life, we'll just not let them on the barge.
No, look, we had people of Ukraine, right? But what we did was, it was a luxury liner that was brought in the house. That's a different matter.
Yep.
But when you bring in something that's actually, it is a prison ship. There's no other name for it, right?
No.
that's.
And
He said,
I did a 15-minute short on Suella, where even having lost the plot yesterday, David.
yeah.
You know, and in that I mentioned that Suella Braverman lied and said that we'd been using these things in Scotland to house asylum seekers. No, as I pointed out yesterday, if these things were ever used in Scotland, it's for the oil industry. They would have been under occupancy and they'd be moored up somewhere where there wasn't enough hotel space for oil workers and things like that in their time off the rigs.
Yep.
Simple as that. But no, we've never used them for asylum seekers here.
Yep.
But if Alistair Jack thinks that he's going to overrule Glasgow City Council, he's taking on a rebellion that I don't think he can handle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. But the barge will find that before it even gets to its mooring point, if somebody's pointed out something about and stick a hole in the side of it, and it'll be sunk in the Clyde.
What you got to do is a few people try and get on board and go downstairs and find the blooming stopcocks, the blooming and do what they did with the German boats at the end of the First World War. So basically, I think that's all we can say about Alistair Jack for the moment. I think we'll just
we can call him on a fascist wee shites with tacky boots on.
Yeah. I think we'll wait and see what happens. We'll see if he does manage to veto. That's ridiculous.
You know what's interesting about these people, David? They all think they're that bright and that smart and that. You know, I'd like to get into a proper debate with these people.
It's condescending.
Get them in a one-on-one forum and let's thrash this out and see who's talking sense.
Yeah, it's condescending. It's condescending, and you know we shouldn't have.
It's a deliberate attempt to flex that muscular unionism we've been hearing of.
Yeah.
It's the same with me, Georgie Folks. It's a shut up, jock.
Yeah, I know. Get back in your box.
You know, but Jack, as they say, if he thinks he's taking on Glasgow, he's made a big mistake.
Yes.
A big mistake.
Now, I'm sure you all heard what happened on Monday. My wife had been in Jersey for the weekend with 3 of her pals, and they went to get on the plane on the Monday to come back to Glasgow, and all of a sudden they found out that the air traffic control system had fallen over, right? So we've got NATS problems, you know, the National Air Traffic System or Services. Now, what do you think of that, Dave? What was your thought on that?
Hacked.
Yeah, okay. But we'll be careful in that because, okay, we're not going to say for definite that it couldn't be something else, right? However, looking at the facts, it's a distributed system. So if something happens to Glasgow Airport, for example, it doesn't affect all the other airports, right? It is also a system which has got not 1 but 2 additional backups, so that if the main primary system starts behaving erratically or whatever, then the other systems go in automatically and take over. That is normal in a mission critical system. And the only mission critical systems that I deal with, I'm an engineer, are safety life systems. You know, these systems that say pick a window or they go this way to escape a fire, and it actually speaks to you, right? In that situation, you have backup amplifiers and all that sort of thing, right? But most importantly, there is always a backup. In the systems I deal with, the backup is that there's a microphone sitting at the front door of the shopping centre or wherever that the fire service can go in and use to shout to people within the place, right? Well, that is doubly protected in that sense. And that's what tells us there's no such thing as a coincidence like that, where all 3 systems can fall over in a distributed network throughout the United Kingdom. It doesn't happen. And it therefore is logical to assume that it was done by somebody that managed to break into the system. The only system that cannot be hacked is one that isn't connected to the outside network. Right. But that now tells us that we've got all kinds of systems like that. My goodness me, it's like, if you figure it, the nuclear weapons at Fastlane, are probably connected at some point to a network, right? My goodness me, well, how do you fancy one of them blooming getting set off, right?
Well, Ginger arrives on Sunday.
I know it. I saw that. So, but here's the other thing. Here's the other side of it, right? The airlines don't want the hack word used. I don't blame them, because see if it turns out that somebody's hacked this system and they're able to hack the system that stops aircraft from bumping into each other, I think the airlines would go down the tubes very, very quickly if people thought
it would definitely slow things down, because they'd need to go back to the old ways with rulers and steam-powered abacuses and bloody CB radios.
They wrote a bit of paper and it went into a slide, and it ran and it was and it went round the desk, and everybody could see that you know, like Global 123 was on a launch approach, an approach to the airport. Yeah.
So, I know that's what I'm saying. I mean, you could go back to paper, rulers, steam-powered abacuses and CB radios, but it wouldn't. You couldn't have as many planes in the air as we get these days.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You just couldn't do it.
And therefore, most of the big airlines that rely on a big throughput of customers all the time, they couldn't afford to stay in business like that, or as they are. So,
even if it was hacked, and we know that the UK has been attacked recently from all sorts of places, and we've had it here in Scotland. They're always SEPA, with the NHS get attacked, we had the police get attacked, you know. So we've had all sorts of cyber attacks here in Scotland. We know, in fact, they were successful in getting through on a couple of systems, a couple of NHS systems, Aberdeen and Ayrshire, and with SEPA, they managed to shut SEPA's database down and demand a, thank you, Alistair, demand a ransom to get it back. You know?
I mean, what does that maybe not call into question where the Bank of England settlement system went down for a day?
It didn't go down for a day, it went down for a couple of hours, David.
Well, it went down for a couple of hours, right? But I mean, is it possible we're seeing a pattern here? But
yes,
because,
very possible. It's very possible we're seeing a pattern, right?
You know, this could.
Somebody's testing the cyber security of the UK, can we say?
Yeah.
You know, and it's probably Russia.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, Putin can just as easily pick up the phone and go, "Hello, is that our guys on the computers? Do you think you can have a go at Great Britain or the UK and see if you can bring down a few of their systems?" There you go. Done.
Right.
You know.
Hey. Right, so that was that. We think it was hacked.
Yeah.
We don't expect everybody to tell it was hacked, but we think it was hacked.
Yeah. So
okay.
Allegedly.
Anyway, Home Affairs Committee report comes in, and it says on its own drug policy. And what it says is that powers of drug policy should be devolved, and a pilot scheme of safe shooting alleys should be introduced in Glasgow.
Yeah. This is what we've been asking for a long time, and Priti Patel went, no. You're not having that. And there was the fact of the matter is, a wee guy set up a van, and he's been driving about the place and giving people stuff.
He ended up back on the junk because of it.
Yeah, you know. So, come on, this is something that needs to happen.
It needs to be run by proper professionals as well.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, the Home Affairs Committee report recommending the devolution of drugs legislation to Scotland has been kiboshed by the Home Office. Suella Braverman says, nope. Anyway, what was the reaction here? Ross went, nope.
Yeah.
And Sarah went, nope.
Yeah.
You know, nobody cares what Alex Cole-Hamilton's going to say, because nobody really knows who the wee stuff shirt is.
Who is
that relevant? I do.
But the thing is, though, anybody that's got any a single brain cell to cover this subject, we realise that it is not a criminal item. It's not. It's nothing to do with crime and all the rest of it, right? It's more to do with health.
That's right. But funny you should mention that, because Anna Sarwar, when asked about this, said, no, drugs legislation shouldn't be devolved. It should be consistent across the UK. He says, but what we should do is treat it as a health issue as opposed to a criminal issue, which is what the Scottish Government are trying to do. It's Westminster, and the fact that these powers are reserved that are stopping us be treated as a health issue, you bloody idiot, Sarwar. Oh.
Now, this morning, I don't know if any of you saw the news, but that's now nitrous oxide, or laughing gas, is now the number two drug of choice for 16 to 24-year-olds in England after cannabis. So in other words, the drug of choice, the first drug of choice is cannabis. The second drug of choice is laughing gas. These little canisters of laughing gas.
Yeah, but that size, David, they're only about that size.
Yeah.
Size of a cigarette lighter.
Yeah.
And they're selling them now in bright party colours: gold, silver, red, green, that sort of thing.
And they're making people, it's paralysing people.
Yes, it's causing brain damage.
Yeah.
So there you go. Stay away from the laughing gas, folks. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. Labour councillor in Fife charged with child grooming. What do you make of that?
Horrible. Yet again, horrible. Is it the fact that these people get too much time in their hands? Is that what it is?
Well, what was interesting about it was this time the party that he belonged to was actually named.
Yeah.
When it was a Tory up in Aberdeen, accused of sexual deviance, party wasn't named.
Yeah.
When it was other Labour or Tory councillors, the parties weren't named. It was only when the SNP found themselves in trouble the party would be prominently named. But this time the Labour Party have been named. Right.
But named in where? Where was that report?
That was the BBC.
Yeah. Okay.
It's normally the BBC, they don't name the party.
Right.
Unless it's the SNP.
Yeah. It does seem strange that it's as if a policy was in place that said that if it's any other party apart from the SNP, you don't name the party the person was belonging to. But now they've opened that up. These changes.
Anyway, David Graham, 41 years old, of Dunfermline, has been formally charged with child sex grooming.
Yeah.
He has now been suspended from the Labour Party.
Yeah.
He was the Health and Social Care, Labour's Health and Social Care spokesperson on that council, which is a bit of a worry because when it comes to social care, it gives him a lot of access to children.
Yes. And
he was also a member of a Fife NHS board. Right, he was on the board of the NHS of Fife. Anyway, he's been charged, and I imagine there'll be a by-election coming up in Fife very, very soon.
Yeah.
But the reason why I brought this one up was because it was very unusual to see the party being named if it was the SNP.
Yeah. It's a step change, that is, for BBC.
That is, aye.
I think. Is it possible that the BBC are looking at them and saying, it's possible the leading party in number 10 Downing Street, and that's why maybe the policy allows for the top party to be named, and they're trying to take ahead of the general election, yeah?
Sorry, David, there's a comment there when we were mentioning the Labour Party councillor grooming children. Somebody put up in the comments saying the Tories need a horn out. Naughty boys.
Yeah. The next one is one that I've picked up on.
Yes,
literally, I go all sorts of places in social media in the morning looking for stuff that's maybe happening, right? And the one thing I saw more than anything else this morning was one single advertisement that went out all the time, and it was health insurance being offered from £23 a month. Now, there have been other health insurance advertisements. I appreciate that, but it just seems as if this one has been pushed to bloody hell and back. Why do you think it's now getting pushed? Why are they now trying to get as many people on board with a health insurance policy for £23 a month per person? What do you think?
No, it's per family, David.
No, it's per person. It's per person. Right,
why is it doing it? Because we know fine well that, you know, they're privatising everything. So they're getting them ready to move. What's interesting about what's going on in the health market, right? And let's call it what the Tories call it, a marketplace.
Yeah.
Right? What's interesting? You know, I scan an awful lot of news, David.
Yeah.
What I will tell you right now, folks, is that the people of England are being prepared for the Westminster government to come north in a hostile takeover. Because every single right-wing rag down that road is running story after story after story saying what a disastrous shithole Scotland is.
Yeah. And
even though that our public services are manifestly better than what they are down that road, the social contract with the Scottish government is far superior to the social contract the English people have with the English government. We've been through this before. No tuition fees, baby box, free travel for 12 to 23-year-olds. First class at 60, no road tolls, no bridge tolls, lower council tax, fairer a tax system with 5 bands instead of 3 bands, spread it, meaning that the burden spread more evenly across society. Now, all that is under attack in the press down that road because there's a hostile takeover coming and there's not a thing we can do about it. What do you think Alistair Jack's flexing his muscles at?
Yeah.
That's what bringing down the deposit return scheme was all about. That's what the Section 35 order was for. And that's what this threat to veto Glasgow City Council is about. It's muscular unionism. The press down there are running story after story of what a shithole Scotland is. Even though that the 10 most deprived places in the UK used to be in Scotland prior to devolution, they're now all in England. Scotland's public services are manifestly better. But if you watch the English press right now, the Mail, the Telegraph, the Times, the Looney Rag, the Express, they're all running Scotland's a disaster stories.
Right, now, think about why. Because if we take our independence, within 2 to 3 years, it's like the people of England will be looking at us and going, "Oh, why couldn't we do that? Why couldn't we have a better social contract with our government?" And I'll tell you what, all eyes will suddenly turn on Westminster, and these idiots who make up the British establishment, who are coming to attack us, they are going to be having a hell of a time. So what they've got to do is they've got to shut us down, stop us from taking our independence to protect themselves.
What they're actually doing, David, is the people of England are looking north, now that they're aware of the better social contract here. And they've got to shut that down as quick as possible.
Yes.
But what they're telling the people in England through their mainstream media is that Scotland's such a mess that it's time for Westminster to step in and take over. That's that Westminster that turned the whole place into a shithole, turned England into a living, breathing sewer.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But they're coming for it.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're preparing the people of England to say that Scotland's that bad that they have to go up and take over. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on the English press, people, because every day at the moment they're running a Scotland shite SNP bad story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would that be of interest to the people of England? That would be of interest to the people of Scotland, but not to the people of England. So what is being prepared for is a hostile takeover. Yeah. The rolling back of devolution. Their NHS is a mess, we'll just take it over so they can sell it afterwards. They're the English NHS. Education's not working. Look at that, free tuition fees. Isn't they working? Let's impose tuition fees.
I've even heard on a talk show where they were talking about water companies and the state they were in, and a Scottish politician blowing fired up. Oh, you know, we in Scotland, we all own our water company, right? And another English politician, but what about the poo that's running off the line from farms? That happens everywhere. You know, it's at the end of the day, they're trying to make everything look bad. Everything.
Anyway, the key reason for shoving these insurance policies in people's faces is because they're instilling fear through the media and how poor the NHS is everywhere.
Yeah.
So people are, oh, hold on a minute, I've got me, the wife, and 2 kids can afford that amount of money. I cannot buy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there you go. But don't forget, it's like there's various levels that you can get. You know, I was looking at it, so I clicked on it to see what was involved. Your age came into it. Whether you wanted things that you suffer. I'm a diabetic. I had diabetic type 2. I would have to put in I'm diabetic, and I want that covered. Yeah. So if I get any extra effects of that, or start bits of me, I've got to be hacked off. Then I'm not having to lose my house for the sake of getting my arm taken off or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
Right, so anyway, that's the whole point is the propaganda which is running both north and south of the border. There's a hostile takeover coming, folks.
Yeah.
There's a hostile takeover coming. There'll be a rollback in devolution like you've never seen.
Yeah.
Right, school support staff to strike in 24 council areas, David.
Yeah, this has just come. It's come in from. It was previously in the BBC, I think, but the Scotsman put it up just a few hours ago, and it does seem that Unison have got one of the highest polls that they've ever done of their members, and they've all agreed that they're going to come out. And what they're doing at the moment is they're organising what date or dates they're going to be going on strike.
And it'll be starting next month actually. But the offer was 5%, which is lower than inflation. So it's a real terms pay cut. But what the Scottish Government were offering was a 1.5 top up to match inflation, basically. But it's still a real terms pay cut. Now, we're not going to get into trade union members taking action to try and better the lot. We're not going to slate them for that. All we are going to say is, folks, remember, every time this happens, look your colleague in the eye and say, whose job's on? Because that's generally what happens.
I know. And it's sad. You can't look at it anyway. It's sad that people are put in that position.
Of
right?
course it is.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, if we do get our independence, right, things like this become a problem of the past, because Scotland is going to have all the corporation tax, all the hydrocarbon tax, all the rest of it. The tax that your petrol and diesel and all that tax is going to be coming to the Scottish Exchequer. We're going to have the money to be able to pay these people properly, right? And instead of the nonsense that we're seeing with the Labour and Tory parties down in Westminster, it's just ridiculous what they are doing, you know. So at least the Scottish Government, I've got to say, are trying to do what's best for our people, you know. We've got to get independence, guys. We need independence.
As I say, we're not going to be doing trade union members striking for better.
No way. No way, because
you have to realise what the Scottish Government's working within a fixed budget.
Yeah.
And it can only stretch so far. And it's not until next year it's inflation proof. It wasn't inflation proof this year.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
right, we're going to end in a wee bit of comedy, David.
Yes. Is that clever chap you're going to talk about?
Aye, cleverly, he's in China. Or he was in China.
Yes.
He was there to break the Chinese on their human rights a record.
Yeah.
And of course, the Chinese, being very polite people, listened very politely to him.
Yes.
And then pointed out that the illegal migration bill breaches international law and human rights. So cleverly got his Bahuki handed to him by the Chinese and told to bugger off. The UK has no influence in the wider world anymore.
And it couldn't happen to a nicer chap, yeah.
No. But as I say, the whisper in his ear as he was leaving after they'd given him his Bahuki was, remember, Little Britain has no influence in the world anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
You know,
which was absolutely
can you imagine that was cleverly stepping to what is the New World Order? What do you think the New World Order were going to say to the old World Order? There's a door. Yeah, there's a door. Yeah.
So it was quite funny, and I really thought it was funny. So although I haven't made it sound as funny as some other things in the way through this show, I really did think it was funny. Mr. Cleverly went out there thinking he was a big boots, you know, in the world, and berating China or the Tibet situation, the Hong Kong situation, and the Uyghur Muslims, right?
Yeah. Can we have a call out for one of your Scottish SNP politicians to jump on a plane and get across to China so they go, come on, son, let's talk about BRICS.
I just thought it was funny. They're berating them on the human rights abuses, but they've just actually, you know, they've shut down, they've just broke international law on the rights to claim asylum. You couldn't make it up.
Let's put all this in perspective, right? China do have a bit of a rubbish human rights record, right?
Fine. The UK.
The UK is now a rogue country.
Even when it was an empire, the UK was a rogue. Christ, it's concentration camps before the Germans.
Yeah.
No. Churchill starved 3 million people to death in Bangladesh.
That's right. Yes. He was asked specifically, there's grain on board those boats in the port. Can we give the grain to the people? And Churchill went, no, set sail.
Aye, and when he was asked about it in Parliament, he said, that's their own fault for breeding all the rabbits.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know, and we're back with concentration camps. They're building them in England. Because the Home Office is now going to detain these people when they get here.
Yeah.
I was talking about it yesterday with Mad Braverman, wanting to tag them. Tag them and let them live in street corners or something like that. Oh. Churchill was a monster and a racist.
Yeah.
And that's their greatest ever leader.
And so is
wow.
Allegedly.
You know. And you can see where they get it from. They're modelling themselves on monsters.
Yes. Yep.
Class action. I won't forget the 1.8 million in Ireland. I'll also not forget the 2 million they cleared out of Scotland.
Yeah, that's right.
But when you think about it, the attitude of the Tory parties is the attitude of this hero that they all worship doing this road, this great leader, Churchill. Actually, right up to the Second World War is a bloody disaster. Wow.
Right, so just...
and even then, they tell me the Yanks kept them dunked so that they could make the decisions in the rain. Right, on you go, David.
Yeah, just while we've got time, we've got a couple of minutes. What do you think about the £160,000 shock cost of choosing a new leader for the SNP?
I think it's a non-story. We all understand that when you run a leadership contest, you've got to pay for facilities for hustings and all that sort of thing. You've got campaign materials, each leader to print, all comes out of party costs.
Right, that's right. And
it's
then,
a non-story, it's a nonsense.
Then you've got to look at where the direction that came from, right? And it's coming from the Tories and from England. And the Tories went through 3 prime ministers with their own woman competition.
And one of them cost us 78 billion quid, and she only lasted, and her lettuce outlasted her premiership.
I think, you're correct.
That was another thing Braverman came away with, she's going to make the police work harder and investigate all crimes. Great! Maybe they'll go and find that 4.4 billion or 10.9 billion, depending on whose report you read, which went missing to fraud and the PPE scandal.
Yeah, we'll get. What's the lassie called? Lady Moon, with her big yacht.
She's on the London now.
Yeah, well, let's get her blown behind bars for a start. at least get her under investigation. Get a forensics tent up by her front fucking door, right? There you go.
Oh dear.
Was it she got 27 million? She got or something like that. She managed to make out of it.
Aye, no doubt. Anyway, time's pushing on. I've got work to go to. So
right, chain of freedom. Chain of freedom.
Chain of freedom in a minute. Chain of freedom in a minute. Can we get to Saturday first, and then we'll get to the 14th of October.
Right, no problem. Cool.
Right, folks. As you know, Saturday. I believe in Scotland, I've got an independence march going from Johnson Terrace up near the castle down to the Parliament, where there will be a rally. First Minister speaking at it. Now, the way the press are portraying this one is if it's not a big, massive rally, then there's no appetite for independence because the First Minister will be speaking at it.
So
if you get to Edinburgh, if you get to Edinburgh, get to Edinburgh. They're always good fun, a good day anyway, you know. Now, Chain of Freedom folks, get signed up for it.
This is now getting to the critical moments where we need to see people coming through the door that are going to take part. You know, it's like I'm not doing anything to do with the organisation of it, neither is Davies. And I can imagine the people that are trying to organise it are having some pretty sleepless nights, worrying about people coming and taking up a place on this chain. So if you haven't given your name in, if you haven't joined the Chain of Freedom group and put your name up, please do. Think about people that other than yourself actually, you know, they're really, really worried about this. They've said we're going to do it. I've said we're going to do it. David said we're going to do it. But if people don't go to sign up for it, it's not going to happen. And
well, strictly speaking, that's not true. I mean, I've seen all under one banner events where the official page said 3,000 and fucking 100,000 on the march, you know?
I know that, David, but at the same time, don't forget what we're doing now. We're trying to allocate people all the way along.
Yes, all I'm saying, that's right. You know what people are.
That's why we need people to sign up and actually get involved in it, right?
Right.
So
that's it then. We've done our bit for we want to thank everybody for your kind contributions today. Your continued help with the food bank funds is helping people right across Scotland and in our communities, which is very important work. And things apparently are only going to get worse. Yeah,
well, you know, the attack we were talking about on Holyrood, that's fact. That's happening.
And while we're still way Westminster, we know they've kicked these inflationary checks on food prices down the line to January in 2024. But they will have to come in.
Yeah.
And things will get worse. Food price inflation is still very high.
Okay.
No. So, anyway, need to wrap this one up, David.
If you like us, then please give us a wee tick, you know, the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Really, it's not much of a thing. All you want to do is put in your email address, and it sends you a notification. Nothing big. We haven't got a call centre going to you know, mess you about or whatever. Just subscribe to us, please. All right, if you like us. So all I'm going to say to that is, bye, Davey.
Bye, David. Bye, folks. See you on Monday.
Yeah. If not the weekend.
Oh, so see me a fool. I'm going to start putting shorts out.